We're live. Mr. Wade?
On my end.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and shut up.
It's not coming up on my end. It still says schedule.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, thank you, thank you, Leonard. Good night. Good night to our Belizean people, both at home and abroad. Our viewers, listeners who tune in to us and support us. Want to welcome them to our 136th edition of Belizean Affairs. And again, we have a very nice uh, show lineup for tonight. And again, as usual, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Leonard Brackett. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Uh,
And joining us also is our next host, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Good night, guys.
Good night, sir.
And as always, start off our show, we start with a prayer and a reading. So let's get right into it because time is of an essence. So Leonard, can you lead us in a prayer and then
Yes, sir.
proceed on a reading? Thank you, please.
Thank you. Let's go ahead. Divine loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them are, into thy hands we commend ourselves once more, asking that thou mayest continue to guide and protect and bless us and our family members, friends, and loved ones, wherever they are. Thou knowest them by name and number. Thou knowest our hearts, our desires, and even our most secret thoughts, loving Father. We pray that thou mayest bless those people who are in harm's way, who are being hurt sometimes for no justifiable reason. And we pray that thou mayest provide food and clothes and shelter and all the needs of comfort that most people need and are struggling to attain. Please bless our country of Belize, its people and its leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and its leadership. And please bless the rest of humanity, loving Father. Have mercy upon us, we pray. Please help us that we present this program and do a good enough job to be worthy of people's time to listen to our program and for us to be able to educate and prepare our people for what is to come. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Can you please proceed with the reading there for us, Leonard, please?
Yes, sir. I'll read Songs of Solomon. No. I'll read Ecclesiastes chapter 7, chapter 12, and I'll start at verse 1. It reads as follows: Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, and the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the song of the grinding is slow, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also When they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond trees shall flourish, and the grasshoppers shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. That's the end of the reading for tonight. Thanks for the privilege
Thank you.
to participate and do the reading.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you for
You're welcome,
that,
Mr. Chairman.
read prayer and the reading. Gregory, want to introduce yourself, my brother, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. And thank you for tuning in to this 136th edition of Belizean Affairs. I thank you guys for sitting with me virtually and hoping tonight's program will be very educational with affairs that are affecting the country of Belize. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg and Leonard. Like I always say, it's gives me great privilege and a pleasure to always sit, in your company, both of you, because you guys, are inspiration, and you guys, speak truth to the people, and you guys show the love for people and nation, and I love to see that you know you guys are not afraid to speak out on issues, things that are affecting our people when no one else does. You guys are not afraid to speak out, and I congratulate you guys for doing that, because we have a lot of Belizeans that who just sit in the background and knowing about the ills that that happens to our people, right? And sadly, I say this to some of my diasporans. You know, many of you have your loved ones here in at home who are going through turmoil and you know sad situation in this country. So I urge you all to please be, you know, more attentive, more outspoken on issues that are happening in your birthland. So, and as for the ones here at home who are going through it, come on, man, please speak out on the issues, the things that are affecting this country, and we see it blatantly, and we are living it every day, whether good or bad. You know, be a voice, speak out, okay? Speak out on issues, because there are lots of wrong that has been done to our people by our leaders,
Mhm.
people who we elect to protect. You hear the word protect and serve. If you don't know the meaning of protect, please look it up in the dictionary. And if you don't know the meaning of serve, service, please look it up. Because that is exactly why you elect these leaders. Nothing more, nothing less. So please speak out on the issues, man. I know some of you are afraid to speak out because of whatever reason, but come on, man. I say enough is enough. I mean, what can they do to you? What? Speak out, man. If you hurt, say hurt. And if you dey mash me can and I tell you get off and you not mash me foot and I tell you get off 2, 3 times and you not get off, push the person off. Push him physically. Right? Come on. We deserve better, man. You know, there's a lot going on, and I get so passionate because so sadly that I'm living it too because I'm here, right here at home, seeing it, living it, and I'm speaking out. So, I always go a little way back, say, my people, I say to you, a nation, again, through this medium, the Belizean Affairs Show, I take this opportunity once more to speak out on the ills, the issues, and there's a lot of stuff going around on social media that needs our attention too, right? Now, yesterday was the deadline. It was, as we could remember, for the family down south, one of the family, because there are some that are given notice to vacate their land, right? But this family, the deadline was yesterday, and they said they are going nowhere, right? This family, this is a place. This is the only place that they know home, that they know as home. Sorry, right? And they will not leave their land. So, Mr. Government, and who want them off that land, I don't know how you guys gonna get them off because on the weekend they got a lot of support from other villagers, right? And in solidarity with them. So whatever and however that came about, I think that you need to reconsider that, right? Please. Um, you know, that land situation down south, need to be properly addressed where everyone is a stakeholder and everyone is treated fairly, fairly, nothing more and nothing less. Just the same way that the Mayans Alliance are claiming for their land rights, there are other people that are claiming too for their rights. Okay? So be very careful and cognizant of what you guys are doing, right? Now, things that bother me, and we talk about this on this through this medium several times, the aggression of the Guatemalan armed forces down south on the Sarstone. We already says that it wasn't going to be the last one then, and now it's not going to be the last one now again. But what strikes me, right, is that this time they were doing some business with the forward operating base down there. And the CBDF, for who do not know what I mean by CBDF, the commander of the Belize Defense Force and other officials were confronted, right, by the Guatemalan army. They showed their aggression, right? They showed and they showed it to the right people, right? In my view, right? And what came out of that? You see, as for me, the leaders we have, or had and have now, they don't have no guts. They are not patriotic. And for me, I call them a bunch of losers, right?
Traitors.
Traitors, right? Because here you have after the that confrontation, the CBDF seems to think that the Stone belongs to the Guatemalans based on his what came out of his mouth, and not to mention the Prime Minister,
Uh,
right?
Mr. Chairman,
On an
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
before I leave the commander of the BDF,
Okay, go ahead.
I, I, I would wonder why is it that some people, because of the position they hold, when in fact they hold that position and appear not to have the knowledge, as this person is presuming that maybe the Sarstoon belongs to Guatemala. What the hell is he talking about? Is he going crazy like Mr. Siri Elvington the last time when he declared that we don't have a border? Are these guys so cowardly that they have to resort to those kind of ignoramus attitudes, in terms of occupying high positions and speaking as if they are under somebody else's foot with the other person's foot on their neck, that they can't speak the truth, they can't react to the circumstances adequately for which they occupy those positions. That gentleman should open his mouth and talk about stuff when you know. Shut his damn mouth up or get consultation or get advice. I'll come back to him later on.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much for letting
Thank
me
you.
speak back to
Thank
him.
you, Leonard. So that's to show our people, the leaders, like I say, the leaders we have leading
A bunch of
us,
cowards and
right?
traitors. That's what they really are.
So I say this on that note to Mr. I forgot your name. I don't know when you were
Tapia,
enlisted in the BDF,
Mr.
right?
Tapia.
But I was one who had helped farm. Yeah, what I'm saying? Farm. FORM. Farm the BDF, right? And before that, in the 70s, I had patrolled the Sarstoon with no hindrance, along with the British. And as to my knowledge, then and now, the Sarstoon belongs also to the country and people of Belize,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. CBDF. Check your stats before you
Open his
come
mouth
to
and
that
talk stupidness.
conclusion, okay? I know you were appointed for whatever reason. Appointed. Maybe you deserved, or maybe you didn't. Maybe someone else had deserved more than you. But you are the CBDF. And I have expected you to have act bravely. And right after you have our leader, the Prime Minister, said on a news conference 2 days ago that yes, he know that the Stone belongs to Belize. That's what he said. He said
But
he knows.
but
But again, he told the reporter, no ask me no more question. Ask the foreign minister. That are the right person for your ask. And he gone. Right? So my point is that all you can offer to comfort the Belizean people is you do not think that that is a very serious act that needs attention, or are you not living in this country? Do you not care, Mr. Leader of Belize? Or maybe I ask a question. Because a lot of us don't even know why we are at the ICJ. Did you come to the nation and tell them that we are at the ICJ for A, B, C, D, E, and 1, 2, 3, 4? No, you did not. So, my point to you, Mr. Briceño, Prime Minister of this country, have you already surrendered Belize to Guatemala based on your action and past government too? UDP too had already surrendered, because this is not the first aggression, but my people is getting more serious. So as a Belizean and a patriot and someone who had served my country, I take that action of the Prime Minister and the leader of the BDF very serious, right? Begs me to question their loyalty.
To whom?
Only me, maybe. Only me, but all I want out there who they turn a blind eye, especially from the south, the southern part of this country. My people, and I was born in the utmost southern part of this country, and I'm very much worried about what is going on with this constant aggression by the Guatemalan armed forces. Okay, we'll talk about that some more. And lately, we have been talking a lot about human rights abuse of our Belizean people. But I say this to say, because lately there was an attorney that was sent to prison. I'm not going to get into the reason why, but 2 days ago, no, it was yesterday, his attorney publicly says that his client has been treated very inhumanely because he suffers from diabetes and he's sick. And seems that they are playing hanky-panky in getting him proper medical attention.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Greg.
And of course, the social inquiry report that deals with the victim impact. It deals with whatever medical conditions he would have had. As you know, it is not a secret, Mr. Salgado is a chronic diabetic. He also suffers from hypertension. As you would have seen his condition, he's a bit gaunt, having been where he is. We know that the facilities at Colby don't have the resources or the facilities to treat a person with this condition. I think the last time a person with diabetes went to that facility for an offense similar was Jahan Abadi. He was sentenced to 6 years for the same abetment to murder, and he died in less than a year. Well, we can query the prison authorities and remind them that he has a prescription for the dosage of insulin he should receive. Where they are giving him more, they're endangering his life, and they should know that they'll be held responsible if something should happen to him as a result of it.
Thank you, Greg, for queuing up that clip based on the topic that I am on right now. And you hear that, attorney, right? Now, my point, what I'm trying to get now, because of what we had talked about and the US State Department had checked ties Belize on the human right abuse and all the other abuses. And we have been talking about this not from just now or now. We have been talking about it for some while now. So my point is, what happened to all these prisoners, these inmates that suffer similar health condition or had some kind of chronic illness? Who speaks out for these people? But you see, because, right? I'm just saying, you see what happened? I say this because the others that are sick in this or have more serious illness than Mr. Salgado, I'm just saying. Not that I am saying that they are not doing wrong to Mr. Salgado, right? They are doing an inhumane act there, right? But what happened to all the elderly black boy, like how the prime minister call him, right? Where he just they put there for 30 days to make them go
Cool off.
recuperate and have fun or whatever, or and the rest that's are in there that is in there that has medical condition, grave medical condition, are not given the opportunity. Some of them die in there and we would never know, right? So Belize, take note. And I hope that more attorneys, because it seems that only the attorneys could bring out these, more attorneys come on board.
We get paid.
Get,
Attorneys will get paid.
we get paid.
The poor black
Right.
people don't have money for pay no attorney.
That is my point there, Leonard. That is my point. What happened to these? They just fall. You hear about these little things, they just fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
What is exactly what is going on back there? And I invite the Human Rights Commission again.
The visit.
Please, my
Demand.
people, right? And I hope the international community would probably hear something like, from what we talk about or from other people. Come back again. Please, man, I beg you. Right? So, these are things that really affect us on this show, because it affect us because we see where it's wrong. The advantage, the inhumane treatment, and you hear that some of them get up and read about all the human rights human rights
Conventions and the rules.
convention, all the good things that should happen, and the things that they shouldn't be doing, and all kinds of good things. They read it out, they only lip sing it, but
Such as the commissioner. I was just reading off
I
of
was going to
the screen, but not necessarily speaking from his heart to those matters, because he is one of the same ones that keep on complaining and asking why somebody don't go and arrest him, because he's taking the money out of the treasury for a salary compensation on a job that he refuses to do.
and sadly, the police force is one of the major abusers of human rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they arrest these poorly black boy or these people, could see the treatment they get. I speak about a treatment that one of my friends got. They beat the hell out of this young man and still refuse. What kind of a heart do these people got? Refuse to let him seek medical attention. Right? When I say beat, they beat the hell out of this young man. Right? And he gone just like that. He ended up being charged $800 for a bite that he bite that fool that was choking him. Right? Real thing. But, do right by people, man.
They just never did the job correctly on that case.
We are not animals. We are not animals. We do not pay you all to treat us that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So these things I feel very, bad about, very bad about. I don't know where we are heading. Well, we know that we are in a police state already, right? That's for sure. The rest will come later and you will see what I'm talking about. And lastly, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to beg to ask you two questions through our medium. And I hope that, because there are people who watch us, Leonard and Greg. There are people who, and trust me, this will go back to him and he will get it. Will you conclude, as per order of the court, the redistricting in this country before, I'm saying the word, before the next election, whenever that next election is called, whether it has to call by a certain date, but you can call it, Mr. Man, before, okay? So that's why I use the word before. Also, I would like to know if you will come to the Belizean people, because you said publicly in the house that as soon as your friend and supporter and the chairman of the reform committee brings that report back to you, you will watch it, peruse it, and do whatever you want to do with it, right? And then you will present it to your minions, your cabinet, and then you will let the Belizean people know whether you had flushed our constitution down the toilet, our existing constitution, or you are going to add to what we already have or take away from what we already have. Because we demand and we need and we should know, Mr. Man, Mr. Prime Minister. So those are my question to you. So in the next house meeting, I would like you to, the same way you utter that then, I would like you to utter this now, what you will do with the constitution that you want to do something with, only you know. So I said, again, whether you want to flush down the toilet our existing constitution, you want to add or take away from what we got. And guys, I say, may God bless Belize, because we need God. We surely need God. Greg, you have something you want to, based on what I thought,
Thank
those
you.
are things that really concern me and things that I am watching, right,
Thank,
as a Belizean.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I go to this clip based on what you just said, so people at home and abroad can hear it.
The BDF gone there and then tell we make we draw from there, we could move. One month time, you're not there and burn up the house, the thatch house where you could see on the picture. And they say we have to go. So we complain about it, because we did a long time, my father, from George Price time.
Before Belize became independent.
We did it after they banned we go. So I don't know why we have to move from there. So we did try, if that will be the case, if we have to get 2 lawyers, we are getting, because we could find the money free.
Again, Mr. Chairman, based on what you just said.
The application for strikeout, when it was received, there was calls made for clarification. It has been brought to my attention that that was an error, that there was no application to strike out. In fact, none appeared on the portal. There's nothing to strike out. The claim has been brought to its conclusion with a consent order being put in place. The only thing left is for that to be carried through. Election boundaries want to argue that they have done their job by laying a proposal before Parliament. Parliament now has its prerogative. It will debate or not debate. And they're seeking to kick the can down the road and leave us in an unconstitutional state of affairs with a schedule that is clearly beyond what the Constitution allows.
That application for enforcement is just sitting there in court untouched?
No, we actually have a date when that is going to be heard. It's supposed to be heard, I believe, in July. There is some word that there is a plan on having an election in November. At least that's what we are hearing. So if that is the plan, the Prime Minister has a certain number of days before that to actually make an announcement. So we have the time.
Those are some of the things you have been speaking about, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for queuing that up. Leonard, go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Say what's on your mind.
I had some comments that I wanted to make on some of the previous things that you touched on, but I also have a comment that I would like to make on this last clip that Greg just played. And what I'm about to say may or may not be news to some people. To those who know and pay attention to these type of subtleties, it won't be news. But to those who are unaware, as I always say, of things that's happening in the background, that is not news until it becomes news, sometimes after the fact, I'm going to say this. Not only is the Prime Minister needing to finish up the debate and the passing of the laws in the House of Representatives to facilitate the changes that needs to be made to meet the compliance based on the consent order that they entered into with the people who sue them, the Belize Progressive Movement that sued them to get this matter taken care of after I've already been telling them about it from way back in the mid-90s. They were finally forced into court, and the court ordered that they need to comply with the requirements of the Constitution. They made a hocus pocus move and pretend like they were following through as per the order, only to come up short, deliberately so. And what is going to happen now as the part of the news, what is not news yet, but is probably going to be news tonight or some other day when the big media houses that take it up and speak to it. The Prime Minister has an issue on his hand right now with the death of our senior parliamentarian, Mr. Espat. The Constitution requires the Prime Minister to ask the Governor General for a writ of by-election within 90 days of that office being vacated for whatever reason. We now know, as I just intimated, because of the death of a senior parliamentarian. So while Mr. Saliva mentioned about elections that people are bantering and talking about and throwing out there for this coming November, the actual election is not due until November after this coming November. In other words, a year and some more months to go, if they want to hold on to their full term. Very unlikely that they will, and it's very likely that they will call the election maybe in November or some other date close to November, either earlier than this November or a little bit after this November. The bottom line is that the Prime Minister is getting himself involved in a quandary with too many different issues that are of primary importance, national importance, and he's not necessarily dealing with those issues adequately. That's how I would classify it. For not wanting to use another term or phrase a bit more derogatory and or more, as they would say, to slander him, because I'm reading his mind, and I'm reading his conduct, and I'm putting what he's saying and what he's doing together. And therefore, what I know of the detailed information from cabinet, as I tell them, there are people who know their business, but they don't care if anybody knows their business. So when I talk about their business ahead of time and put it out in the public, they shouldn't complain. It is likely that these jackals will want to have a general election as part of this by-election that they are mandated to have within the next 90 days. They will not want to take the chance of losing that division, which is a strong division that they have held for a while now, under a novice or under a new person. If they were to go and have that election according to the laws within 90 days and they lose it, that will become like what happened in the Belize rural south under Mr. Kowit. Remember that, Mr. Wade, Gregory?
Coyote?
Right? They lost Kyle South because of the
Yes,
different.
yes, I remember that.
Yes, yes. Coyote,
So,
yeah.
for those who don't know, don't think that I'm talking because I have a prayer lip. I just want to talk straight. I was an expert in politics before I left Belize. I was an expert before I helped create the United Democratic Party. I was the person who instigated the creation of that party. And I was a member of the steering committee of the Unity Congress that gave birth to the United Democratic Party. So I'm not going behind the years, and I'm going to talk gratuitously. When I open my mouth, I talk about things, sometimes even ahead of time. Why? I'm privileged to be able to do so. I'm saying they have a problem, the present government have a problem in that they had lost our senior parliamentarian, Mr. Spat,
But
and they are compelled to follow the constitution to have a by-election within 90 days. And were they to lose that election, that would be just harbinger of things to come, or previews of coming attraction. Because they were measuring the mindset of the people based on the town board and city council elections, which is not the same as the general election.
let's
So, so what I'm intimating is that the present government had done some little bit of work to try and address that Section 90 of our Constitution issue. And they do not necessarily want to go back and do it the right way. So very likely they will use that effort that they made the other day to do the by-election with. They will not go back to the original situation. They will use the product that was produced based on what the court mandated them to do, and they will say, okay, well, they use it, and therefore, because they get to use it for this 90 days upcoming by-election, they will turn around then and say, okay, well, if it was good for that by-election, it should be good for the general election. So they will stall, and they'll harangue, and they'll play all manner of, shell game to buy time to tie up some of these loose ends. They also have the political issue that they need to close out before they call the general election. So that's a problem that they have to deal with, and they're not ready to put that protocol thing forward because they're still having problems within cabinet as to whether or not they will go ahead and do it. As a matter of fact, Mr. Spat, before he died, conveyed to members of his family that he felt offended, insulted, and put upon by power brokers in the party. The Prime Minister needs to suborn as many people as he can to get a majority out of cabinet in order for him to get the political deal out of cabinet to take it to the House where they have a super majority. They have the thing that you just mentioned earlier again, Mr. Chairman, the revamping of the constitution that they were trying to do. They had their agenda long before they decided to put that motion in play. They knew exactly what they wanted to go after, but they're having a hard time getting there. And as I said, I'm hoping that they fall on their faces. because I'm not offering no help for them to figure out how they could get done what they want to do, because I'm not in favor of what they were trying to do from the get go. So as far as I'm concerned, let them fall on their faces.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you.
And there are much more other things that
Yes.
needs to be done.
Great.
That they have too many balls showing up in the air, like the clowns in the circus. But then clowns there, no know which one of the ball to grab to make sure that the show continues adequately. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Well put. Well put together. Good assumption. Greg, on that clip you played there, these guys says that they are willing to get two attorney. Now, you see, what we always talk about, Greg, is the way they put people on the spot for people to fight for what's theirs. Let me hear you weigh in on that, Greg, because it's a sad
Thank,
situation, man.
thank
And
you,
these
Mr.
people,
Chair.
not to mention last, then the guys that never swim across the river, then a band Belizean. You
Mhm.
see that same young man there, band Belizean, never swim across the river. Go ahead, I'm sorry about that, Greg. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The discussion we are having tonight, which is open-ended, based on the topic you have presented tonight, I will second you and specify not only by saying it, but along with video. It comes back to the three things I said before, and many assured the role of government that is not being done by past and present government. The three things: the first one, protect its territory. The
Mhm.
second one, get with private sector and
Create
create
jobs.
jobs. And the third one, bring about peace and harmony in the community. They are lacking in the three things they are supposed to do. When we go to what is happening in Belize, let me go to the first clip to show you what I mean by that. So or not,
The official word coming out is that it's two rivaling groups, two groups who are feuding, and as such, the incidences have been targeted to people who supposedly is on a list. The entire Quintana Roo area, as you know, is a tourist hotspot, is a tourist destination. It includes everywhere from Calderitas, Bacalar, Ixcalac, Tulum, Playa, Cancun. For Mexico, tourism is a $40 billion a year industry, so it's not something that they take lightly.
Mr. Chairman, I played a clip based on the young man that they are trying to evict from his property using the phrase narcos. Let's not forget that this government went to the house with a supplementary for $1 million to do what?
Fight.
Help protect and fight narcos in the north, where we
Well
have
said.
not heard anything more about it. We just had a young man that was killed using high-powered rifle that they mentioned the killing seem as though it has to do with narco. Now, we heard the commissioner specifying that the Belizean people does not have to worry about that because they will send personnel up there to make sure the border is okay. When are we going to move away from that and only act at the spur of the moment? When are we going to place permanent structures that will have obedience, which is the one who is supposed to deal with our borders and not the police department when it comes to national security. Mr. Chairman, I will move away from that to go to the next video because I want you and the people at home and abroad to see how I will specify what is happening in Belize. Now we know that an incident took place in the Sarsoon. Let's listen to what our Prime Minister had to say about it.
Right now, the Sarsoon River is on a hair trigger, and the slightest disturbance could send things in a most unfortunate direction. The two most recent trips that the BTV made last month were met with hostilities from the Guatemalan armed forces, who insisted that it was their territory. And yesterday, the PM urged the BTV to play it safe and not antagonize the Guatemalans, because it would be a war we would likely not win.
We need to be realistic. We have about 1,000 soldiers. Guatemala has probably about 19, 20,000. They have gun ships. They have all the latest equipment and technology to go to war, and we don't. We also need to be a bit careful, and I say that hesitantly. I say that, for instance, if you have a bull, a wild bull in your land, you're not going to go and jump up in front of that bull and wave a flag because it's going to attack you. What you need to do is to see how you could pen the bull and how you could deal with it. I use that as an analogy to make the point that we also can't be seen to be taunting the Guatemalans because, God forbid, one day one of these people were to accidentally pull the trigger or whatever, then what?
But in 2016, when the PM was then the opposition leader, was he...
Wow.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
I play that clip to prove tonight to the Belizean people at home and abroad how the past and present government is in denial and they are using the fear factor when it comes to Guatemala. I will be the first to tell you that it is
Amen.
the fear factor. I
Amen.
would like to know who are, as Belizeans, have ever read the UNGA Resolution 3520 of 1980. I am sure my cousin knows exactly what I'm talking about. Let me read section 6 to the Belizean people at home and abroad, because the former Attorney General, Mr. Elrington, had also used the fear factor against Belizean people, not telling them the truth about our independence that is based by partially along with the Commonwealth. So I would like the people to go and read it for themselves. This is what it says. Section 6 of the UNCA Resolution 3520. The United Nations call upon the government of the United Kingdom as the responsible administering power to continue to ensure the security and territorial integrity of Belize. What does that mean, Mr. Chairman? It means that when the former and present Prime Minister use the fear tactics to scare our people, not telling the truth about the protection we have under the Commonwealth, something is totally wrong. Because It is there in black and white. I have always heard it mentioned. Oh, they took their soldiers out of Belize. They will not come fight for us and all that craziness. They are making believe because they are not that far away. We are still in the Commonwealth with 4 billion plus people that will stand up along with CARICOM nations to defend our territory. I turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's take there. Leonard. Thank you, Greg. Right. I'm glad that you read that item there, right? Because some may know it, aware about it. Even some in government, you know. Even some in government. Not all of them. The little junior boy anyway in a government don't have a damn clue about that. Right? Now, I'll say this to say that when you say that it's a fair tactics, you know, and I think that the past and present government had failed us, right, and failed to do what they're supposed to do in terms of lobby the outside world and the outside community who had signed on to help us, right? But like you said, Greg, an agenda. We'll see it happen, you know, that agenda. You know, we had used the help in the late 70s when Guatemala aggressively came across the Benke I was part of the security force, so I'm telling you, right? I was dug in 300 meters away from that border. When the British read them, you don't move in 5 minutes. Then the Harrier, the tanks, everything was right there. We were ready to. So what this man is talking about? You hear this man? You know, this man has no guts. No, I'm talking our prime minister. This one now. You know, we are only about 1,000. You see the word the man using 1,000 soldiers, and we should not provoke. Man, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. Or you don't have any shame. Huh? I and nobody didn't. He wasn't afraid. I have guts. I stood up, ready to die for my country, right? Along with the British, right? And other nations were ready to help us, Mr. Man. If you do not know that,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Greg.
The British have no troops in Guyana. But yet, just recently, when Venezuela threatened them, a British frigate was out there in the wink of an eye because they are also under the Commonwealth.
Mr. Man, leaders of this country, there was something signed within 6 hours. They are not far away. 6 hours, they will be right here. All you have to do, you fool, tell them what then they do to you, man. Or tell them what then they do to this country. It's not right for us Belizean to be going through this. Go back and read these things. These things are there in black and white. And I'm talking, you know, senior Mr. Prime Minister. I'm not talking about the junior boy anyway, the little minions that along with you who do not have a voice, right? And do not have a guts, right? To tell you that you did wrong, right? Man, you know, you need to check yourself, you know, right? Because you take in this country and the things you are saying, not to mention this fool, the one that says that we they run out a bullet, right? You're a fool, right? You shouldn't say these things. And I understand you know was a captain in a BDF. Man, who give you them pip? Where did you buy them? Man, you know, I speak like this because I know better could be done, you know. That's why I speak the way I speak, right? This man don't talk like we're afraid. Oh, you can't ring one bell at the side soon because we taunt them. We can't this, we have to be careful because only 1,000 away. You hear what? If you didn't know, Greg just read something there, and I hope your people them take that back to you if you don't know, right? Go ahead, Leonard. I was said I needed to get that off my chest, right?
Thank you
Again,
very much, Mr. Chairman.
I never know when Uno me there when Guatemala came across that blessed day, right? Baby on a bed on a shit on a pants, right? I was right there with a machine gun with 5,000 rounds ready to die for my country, man. And I never want 1,000 away, sir. But we had the British, right? If you don't know, I tell you, go back and do the check. Go ahead,
Thank you very much,
Leonard.
Mr. Chairman. But these jackals and hyenas that we have running our governance affairs currently, and even recent past, in fact, from before we became independent, they have always been part of an agenda to help Guatemala gain possession of Belize. As per the Guatemala Constitution, which says, Belice es nuestro y lo conseguiremos por la razón o por la fuerza. The Guatemalan Constitution says, translated now in English, Belize belongs to us, and we will get it by reason or by force. Guatemala has been taking over Belize by reason. They have no need to use their force. They play the force intimidation games, but the Prime Minister is accommodating them and making arrangements and agreements with them to outnumber we local Belizean population to the point where when we ask them about the Creolean joining the Constitutional Commission reform group initially, the man said, "We're a minority." Why would a minority? He helped to make us minority. He have Orange Rock pack up with a whole ton load of people that now he try to find ways to get in their documents and make them more Belizean than the average Belizean at home and provide them with all kind of special favors that he refused to provide to the Belizeans that are born and live at home. These guys have been teaching the people and encouraging the people to be hateful and hostile towards the British because the British there to keep us safe and out of the Guatemalans' their hand. That's the reason why I hate the British. That's why I talk about them so much. They're not so much about the logwood and the dye and the other material thing they want to take out of the country. Because if the British them really want to exploit Belize, long before they left, they knew that we had gold, we have bauxite, we have tin, we have oil, we have a whole lot of different kind of things all over the country, on the mainland and in the sea. When Belize had its problem, like Mr. Wade said, with the Guatemalans them, on more than one occasion, by the way, it was always the British that stepped forward and provided us with that support, which is the reason why I was part of the group of people who instigated entering into a bargain with Mr. Price in order for him to get independence under his name as the leader of the UP party. That first John bargain was struck that the only way he would have gotten independence during his lifetime would have been if we get it within the Commonwealth. And why? For the same reason as Mr. Wade just stipulated, and others are aware of. Not that we wanted to be colonialists, but that we just want to be playing second fiddle to the British. The British didn't came to Belize and conquer Belize like the Spaniards came and conquered Guatemala and Honduras and Mexico and the rest of Latin America. The British came to Belize because the Belizean people, they asked the British them to support them with soldiers from out of Jamaica to keep the Guatemalans and the Mexicans away from us. But they don't teach the kids there and the people them in a school, that kind of knowledge there. Then teach them what the British may have we enslaved. The British never bring nobody that believes conquer enslave them. It was the merchants that used the slaves them to get free labor initially. And after, when the British House of Representatives, the Parliament, vanished slavery, long before America ever did, Belizeans were free people. As a matter of fact, before the Battle of St. George's Caye, 160 years ago, well, more than that, before the Battle of St. George's Caye, there were black women living on St. George's Caye who were owners of property and who used to vote to decide who will run the place, who the magistrates them going to be, and how the power is going to be divided and controlled in a free settlement of British Honduras colony at the time. It was a colony. But before it became a colony, it was an independent, self-governing entity. But on its own, it could not sustain the constant invasion of the Mexicans and the potential entanglement with Guatemala. That's how come the British got involved with us. They didn't come and invade us and take us over. We asked them to come and help us provide military support. And this knowledge and information should be available to the people, for the people to learn and know, and stop getting them bamboozled into believing that we need to hate the British in order for us to end up loving the Guatemalans, in order to make the Guatemalans have an easier way with us. Because exactly what the Prime Minister said, we only have 1,000 people. We had less than that before. But for the last 50 odd years, Guatemala has never stepped a foot over in a Fuera with any bellicose intent. They attempted, but they were blocked off. The Mexican informed the British that what the Guatemalans and the Salvadoreñans was about to do in 79. And before 79, we also had another entanglement where when the Harriers then first came to Belize.
77.
Anybody remember the Kitty Hawk?
77. But anyway, man, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say this to my cousin, right? Mr. Brackett,
Brother, sir.
the General Assembly was the one who called on the United Nations to guarantee the independence and the sovereignty of Belize.
On the UK.
So why?
On the UK, on the United Kingdom.
Why is past and present government not enlightening our people to this?
Because it doesn't serve the agenda.
That is the question I wanted to ask you, and you know why it does not? Because this is why the present government is trying to turn us into sovereign citizens, as though the British had left us. They moved their troops and they left, so we are on our sole only self. That is what is happening.
A defenseless army. And so we had to play footsie with Guatemala.
Need
so that
a new identity. That's where the new identity came in.
I was just going to mention that. Guys, let me say this. A little 2 minutes, then I'll pass it back over. Lately, not too long, a few months ago, they wanted to shivatize, this young politician, the PUP. They want a new identity,
Mm-hmm.
right? They wanted to shivatize, bite the hands that had fed you and your ancestors, right? That's what they wanted to do, and that's part of their agenda. Shivatize from the British.
And become
And you
defenders.
mentioned, Greg, the new identity, right? So that person that says about new identity, I want to tell him, right? Please go and practice or go and take up some Spanish courses, right? Because you will need it, because that same new identity, that is what you're talking about. You will need to learn to speak Spanish, right? That's the new identity. No English, more English. No. Or rather, no. Publicly, we need a new identity, right? Publicly, shivatize, change, they take the queen heads off the money, right? Little by little, right? And do you think that that man will say, you know, I would have expect that man, Briseño, Prime Minister of this country, should have said, you know, we have to lobby the outside wall and get equipment, get helicopters, get tanks, get ships, get and enlarging the fleet, right? And make Belize better so that they could defend themselves, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
They
you
want to
don't
have
want
defense
that.
purpose.
Said it, Leonard. You don't want that. You okay with the 1,000 where you talk about? You okay with that?
And all they
Royal
use a
leader.
1,000 for, Mr. Chairman, all they use a 1,000 for, that will suppress the local
Suppress
population.
the local, the Lee Black boy, eh? Right? Sir, be careful of the road that you and your minions want to take this country, okay? And I'll leave you with this, Mr. Man. Remember, the British is just a stone throw away. All you need to do is open your mouth and say, "Come help me," Mr. Man.
That's not part of the agenda
Are
now.
you
They don't
doing
do
that?
anything like that. They will never do that,
No.
Mr. Wade.
You're allowing, you're facilitating because of your agenda, right? Well, I know okay with that. That doesn't fly with me, right? That is so wrong. I don't know about other Belizean, right? I want to live in this country the way I find it, as Belize, right? Mr. Man, I tell you what, if you want to live and go live the Guatemala, you're free to do that, you know, man. You're free to do that. Pick your family up and migrate to Guatemala. Walata we Belizean, no want that, sir. I, for one, I know you got a Melcher, Mr. Man, okay? And I don't want ban Belizean. Ban right here. A taxpayer, a voter. I have every right to say what I got to say. Back to you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Go ahead.
I want
Greg.
to play a clip from the Commissioner of Police, and I applaud him because, in honesty, this is the first time in reality I've seen the Guatemalan and the Belizean doing exchange when fugitives and returning vehicles. I have to applaud the commissioner. I think he's doing a better external policy than I give him praise for.
So far, I can say that it is going well. And as much as the regulations that accompany the declaration do give the police a number of powers, we have not been using those powers.
That
What's the
that was
job
the
of the
wrong clip,
police?
sir. But as I said,
But that
the
Greg, that one was also telling though,
Very.
even though it might be
right.
contradicting your point.
Gentlemen,
These
we
guys are
have
jackals, man.
17 more minutes. Leonard, you want to take the first 5? My brother, go ahead.
Uh,
Say what you want to say. Ah,
I got too much service section, man. But
say,
let me
I
pick
give you
one.
5 minutes. Go
Let me
ahead.
pick one. Let's stay on topic. Why is the prime minister of our country do these guys don't understand anything about national security interests or national security affairs or you call they like talk about cabinet discuss things in secret. Why don't we
Secrecy.
set it down mouth up sometime when they reporter they try ask some question, I don't know the answer, I have to spit out any kind of craziness will make you look like an idiot. Why doesn't he fight that urge? Because to do that would serve the public interest a lot more than the craziness when he talk about. Oh, we can we have to let the Guatemalans then run roughshod over us. We can demand that they comply with our border requirements for independent Belize. Uh, what if sometime one of them she got happy with a pull on gun and somebody get shot or get hurt? What we gonna do? If at this point in time, after being prime minister for so many months and years, he don't know what he would have do or we should have do, it means that he's not fulfilling his obligation. Like you said, Greg, the man either doesn't know his assignment, as he would say in his own words, or maybe his assignment is actually to coward or Belizean. Him acting as a coward and to help cover our Belizean into a corner, into ceding the Sarstoon to the Guatemalans by default. Guatemala has to respect free borders, but it will never respect free borders if they know that free politicians are on the tape and that free politicians don't level with free politicians, and therefore they could come out free side and bullyrag free people. Bad enough that they outpopulate we already. Do you see any of we BDF people and go and take off any of the Guatemalans then off of we land there? But then they try run and song that gentleman talk about go bond if
Ban
you
Belizean.
and get them from there. Why so much acrimony and aggressiveness towards the one local population? And you can't have the chutzpah, like some other people will say. Or, you know what I mean? Oh. We help the government, we help, not because we elect them to be the way they behave or to act the way they act. People had good faith in them and hope that they would have acted better, and therefore they elected them. The end result is that these guys are like jackals and hyenas. Hyenas don't change their spots. And hyenas hit their one when it comes to, when push comes to shove. Belizeans need to get busy thinking seriously about who they entrust our governance power to and stop play party politics with our governance affair. There's a difference between national issues and party politics issues. People have to become more patriotic and look after the interests of the country. And the politicians, they have to learn and understand that people will be like that. And then they will respond to the people's urges and needs. Otherwise, we'll just keep getting the same kind of flim flam over and over and over. We get it from both mass parties. When are we going to get another group of people that can maybe show some more spine and backbone and stand up on behalf of our country? Now the Prime Minister tell the people, asking no more question about the foreign affairs issue, go and ask the foreign minister. The way foreign minister and the man wants to talk about then at that point. When he blurt out that out of his mouth and we come from in his head. You know me to talk about poor Mr. Fonseca, because what does he understand or know about foreign affairs? Other than the fact that the portfolio falling in his lap because the previous foreign minister, walked away.
He was talking to Guatemalan foreign minister there, Leonard.
Probably. For all intents and purposes, that'll probably come out of his head. But these guys are not acting in good faith towards the country. And that is the part that bothers me. And they show no inclination to want to learn or want to do what needs to be done. Nobody is telling these fools to go and start no war with Guatemala. Because when push comes to shove, then it encourages us to get rid of the British, who is a member of the security of the United Nations Security Group, and has a veto power, same like the United States, same like Russia, same like China. Okay, these people that we have as our government, they don't really understand nothing about foreign affairs, foreign interests, and how geopolitics operate. Because if push comes to shove, let's say Guatemala would have want to invade we or cause a confrontation with we. And while it sounds ludicrous to even contemplate such a thought, imagine that we would put Guatemala under some discipline and that they would need some help from somebody. Who do you think will come to the rescue? Israel and the United States of America. Guatemala's two main power brokers on the geopolitical stage. So there's no way that we could ever think about wanting to fight the Guatemalans then. Does that mean that in the interest of our own survival and we own, does that mean that we'll just lie down and let the Guatemalans then have their way with us and do just about what they want with us? Why is it that these people have such an urge for us to become defenseless or a pauper? They're not to try to help with economy, they're not to try to help with defense. They're not to pay with people, they're not to provide them the equipment when they need to do a proper job. They don't want them to do the job. And they're not to spend their money to help the country move forward.
Thank
They
you.
don't have a problem giving it to Mr. Ashcroft.
Thank you.
You know
Leonard.
what $1 few million could I do for the BDF right now? 100 million. You know what all that could I do for the BDF right now? $1 billion when I give Mr. Ashcroft. You know how far that could I carry for the whole country? I'll give you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Leonard.
Welcome.
For that, the way you see it, and truth, right? Greg, you have 5 minutes, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're winding
But
down.
to answer to what my cousin was saying, we are starting to fall in the bug where all of us will become one. I am quite sure you did not see on the social media platform what the good Minister of Foreign Affairs for the United States, Mr. Blinken, has urged the Biden administration to do to advance ties with Belize. So I'm putting this out there to let you know, as well as the people at home and abroad, because my belief is They're running them out of the Middle East and out of Africa. So now they are looking for a new playing ground. And what better place to play than in the Caribbean? Huh? As you can
Point,
see what is happening in Guyana,
point taken,
as
right?
was
Point taken.
mentioned. Little did we know, I had mentioned earlier that a British frigate had went out there when this issue was there with Venezuela.
But
Sadly,
there are military bases now too, Greg. Not just
right, within the region,
hmm?
within the region, the US
That's
have
why
military
Venezuela. That's why
bases.
Venezuela was talking big, but decided to tamp it down a little bit, because they
So
weren't aware of what was happening.
we need to be very careful because we can simply become Gaza. We are between a superpower and their combatants. Like
Hmm.
how Iran have those little people giving trouble. Let's not forget Guatemala is right there backed by who?
Hmm.
So we need to be careful. But on the real, I keep saying this and I will continue to say it because history always repeats itself. From Africa to Colombia, north, south, east, and west. Whenever you see the white man show up and he comes with his offering, let's not forget Lord Ashcroft. When he's taken, don't be surprised of what all he wants to take. History always repeats itself. We saw what happened to Shaka Zulu. We saw what happened to the Native American Indians. Another genocide. And who is telling that story? No one. But they want to talk about Auschwitz and what happened there. Nobody wants to talk about the genocide that took place to the Native Americans. But we need to put this out there. So I hope Belizean people at home be steadfast and look at why the American government wants to get more involved within the region because they don't normally do that just like that. There has to be something behind it.
Interest.
Back to
Thank
you,
you.
Mr.
And
Chairman.
thank you, Greg. Well, that's a forewarning. That's something to think
Greg,
about. I'll take
one
this 3
word.
minutes.
One word.
I'll,
Interest.
I'll take this 3 minutes and I will take 30 seconds on that. Don't forget the ICJ, right? Don't forget that Guatemala, and you said Guatemala, the US and Israel supports always Guatemala.
Mhm.
And don't forget the ICJ. There will be a ruling.
Who is supporting us, Mr. Chairman?
Okay. And
Then it pushes away from the British. Who is left to support us? Other than for us
so
to
we
go
are
there and
just
walk
throwing this out there. It's
with the
something to
hand in
think
our pocket,
about.
walk with the hand in our pocket, go stand up front of the judge and hope that
Eh,
the judge will have mercy upon away.
It's just something to think
Bunch of
about, my
idiot.
people. And again, my people, just be careful, for our leaders, please, because some of our leaders say we not got talent and we stupid and we dumb and all of that thing, right? For us, the ones that are a little bit educated, watch these people, past government, the UDP and PUP, one agenda, to the end, right? They are one under the take, all of them take under the table, right? Leave us to squander around when they get everything from under the table, right? You hear our leaders how he talk. Greg played the the clip. We only have 1,000 BDF to defend us. Did he ever mention, well, I'm trying to get 2 helicopter or buy this or get that or that equipment or do something that will do more recruiting and build up the army and get it to a certain level? Do you hear this talk from anyone or no leaders? You hear this talk from Dean Barrow? Hell no. You hear this talk from John Briceño, the Prime Minister of this country? We will hear what he said, all right? So, my people, let us, take heed, right? And, we'll keep praying because, we need God in this country. We need God and we need prayers because this leader that we have and the leaders around him are taking, are taking Belize down the wrong path, okay? And I hope that, they will turn from their wicked ways, right? And do right by people and nation. And on that note,
Mr.
we are out
Chairman,
of
before
time.
you close, I'm flashing that banner right there so the people can look it up for themselves.
Exactly.
It's
And
right
I want
there at the
to thank
bottom.
you, Greg. And I want to thank our viewers and listeners and those who support us. Leonard, you want to read anything to us real quick?
I just replied to Mr.
Okay, reply to some. Okay, good. Thank you. And it's always a pleasure. You want to say something, Leonard?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Just that what we had promised for tonight's program last Monday did not pan out because we decided to change up for to present the program that we did present tonight. But we'll continue that effort on Friday, hopefully.
Always remember, people. Thank you. Always remember, people. On this program, we are patriots. We are about Belizean. We are about people and nation. That's what we are all about. And thanks for tuning in to our 136th edition of Belizean Affairs. Looking forward to be with you again on Friday, where Leonard will, have his, presentation. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, you ready? 1, 2, 3.
No voy a